Welcome to I'm Doing Well. This is my podcast. Basketball is my favorite sport. I've played basketball my entire life, and, you know, watching it, I think, is the best experience. Out of all the sports you can watch, I feel like basketball is the one I enjoy watching the most. What rivals it? Baseball? Ooh, nope, that can't be it. Even people that play baseball, they're like, yeah, I'll have it on in the background. It's fun to play, not to watch. It's just nothing happens. Even soccer, 90-minute game or whatever. End of the game, it's 1-0, and it's like, sounds like an uneventful game. But no, the entire time there's action. Baseball, no, no. The end of the game, it could be 1-0 as well, but that could have been like 5 seconds of that. What is it? 2 hour, 2.5 hour game? I don't remember how long baseball games go anymore. Baseball is so boring that in the middle of the seventh inning, they tell you to get up and stretch because they're like, yeah, we've all been here a while. I know things are boring, so why don't we pop on up and get those joints moving? It is that boring. That being said, I played it my entire childhood, and I love the game, but wow, watching it, yikes. Basketball is my favorite sport, and so naturally, I played it all my childhood growing up, and when you play it, and you're going to school in middle school and high school, you play for the school team, right? And then in elementary school, you play for some organized league, whether it's like a travel team or, just like every Friday, show up at the same gym at 7:30 and then, play some games with some random people in your school district. But, when you're in middle school, high school, you're on that team for, that school. Sixth grade, they don't have a basketball team. And then seventh grade, eighth grade, they do. Played seventh grade, eighth grade, broke my finger like a week before the season started. Still don't know how that happened. And then I played freshman year of high school, broke my wrist, broke my right wrist, landed straight on it in the middle of the season. And, it healed in 3 months, I think it was. And so I was ready to go. Sophomore year, it goes freshman, JV, varsity. So we did freshman. Now I'm trying to get on the JV team, right? And basketball seasons always start, for school at least, they start in January. They go January and March, April? Is that how long they go? I don't know. But they start in January. You come back from winter break, you start. And so in November, December, they start having open gyms. You can play with some of the older guys and, start working out, getting used to the coaches. They'll be there, and it's a good experience. I went to, one of those open gyms in December. This is the first time I'd come back to practice off my injury earlier in the year. It had been months. Months had passed. I wasn't very well conditioned, so, I'm getting gassed out on the court. And I finished that open gym, and my mom picked me up because, 10th grade. And I had nothing but bad things to say. It just wasn't enjoyable. I had grown over the years this, dislike towards the game. Not the game as a whole, but my participation in the game. And I would always just, like most things, stuff it down. Don't think about it. Just keep pushing forward. But after that open gym, the feeling had never been, I don't want to say visceral, because that seems very aggressive and very sharp, but it had never been that intense. And so that was like really the first time I genuinely considered, hey, maybe not playing the game I played my entire childhood. And to me, being 14, 15 years old, this was like a monumental moment. It was heartbreaking. It was earth shattering because it's a thing you were doing your entire life. And now you're like, what if I don't do it anymore? What if I just stop? And so I thought about it. There were more open gyms. I didn't go to them, but we went to winter break and then we came back in January. Tryouts are happening. I didn't try out. I didn't want to. So I didn't. But that's not a good enough explanation. Because over the next, months, pretty much until the end of the season, all the guys on the team, when they saw me around school, would say, "Hey, why didn't you try out? What's up with that?" And I would always give the same answer. I said, I didn't want to. And 100% of people didn't accept that as an answer. They would say, "Oh, that's not a reason. What's the actual reason you didn't try out?" And I would say, "No, that's it. I just didn't want to. And so I didn't." And no one liked that answer. And honestly, if I was on their end, I don't even know if I would like that answer, right? No, I would, because I understand that people can just not want to do things. But in a much more real sense, and I've never admitted this to anyone, maybe one person, my friend Andrew Hoyer, who he's been my best friend since 3rd grade. In a much more real sense, never admitted this to anyone, I didn't like the coach. I didn't want to be under that coach. I knew it was just going to be a miserable experience. And so, I think that growing disdain, is that the word, towards the sport, and, knowing that I was going to be under that coach for however many months, it was a combo strong enough to make me want to step away. And so I did. But then why didn't I tell people that? Why didn't I tell people, didn't like the coach? Just because I didn't want, in high school, everything matters, even though it doesn't. And so I didn't want that rumor, being thrown around that, Gauruv has a problem with the coach. So I just said I didn't want to. Which, if you think about it, is true. I didn't want to. The reason was because of the coach, but simply put, I didn't want to. And so I stopped. I ended the UC Davis show. You might be asking why. I wanted to. No. There are, I think multiple reasons why I ended it. And you probably saw it about 4 weeks ago when I was talking about it on my podcast. I said, I'll do it for the rest of the quarter, and when it stops being fun, I'll stop. Right now I'm having a blast with it, but when it stops being a blast, let's go ahead and cut that thing off. And so that's the first reason. I used to look forward to making those videos. The first one, the second one, I really look forward to. And is it because the numbers went down? That's, potentially, not potentially, that is one of the factors. Because, you do put in the time and you're like, let's see, this get a good response. And when you stop getting the response, that is part of the fun. Part of the fun of creating, as much as people want to say, create for yourself, as long as you like the product, you'll never be upset. Anytime you make something creatively, people's, it's weird to say, but their approval, right? Because that's a very toxic thing to think, right? So doing something for someone's approval, because then you'll never be happy. You should only, chase your own approval. Because in the end, what do they always say? When you're born, you're like naked and alone. And when you're about to die, you're naked and alone or something. So it's like from the start to, and it's like, Garv, do you believe that? I don't know if I believe that. Because when you pop out, you're surrounded by a lot of people. There's a whole welcoming cast, when you pop into the world. But then they put you in that room with a bunch of other crying babies. I didn't cry because I'm better than everyone. But no, I probably cried like a little bitch. But yeah, so when you start and when you end, all you really got is yourself, right? So you should really only truly care what you think, which is a nice thing to think, but it's in practice one of the most impossible things ever. To just be content with yourself, that's fucking difficult, man. But it's what everyone preaches, and it is the place you want to get to, apparently. No one really has the answers, but I think we've all, kind of agreed that if you can be content, that's a really good spot to be in. Once again, I don't know if we know if that's right or not, but we've all kind of agreed. We all voted. Apparently democracy works best until some people say it doesn't. Ooh, political humor. Gauruv, is that you? But I'd be lying if I said numbers weren't part of the reason. Every episode has just done worse. And especially after last week, I thought the jokes were bad, Like they weren't funny. They were just dumb sentences, That had no capacity to elicit a laugh, I think. And the numbers were, they reflected that. But this was I just recorded the last one. And it felt good. Another reason I, decided to end it is because the thought of ending it made me happier than the thought of continuing with it. And while it is really hard, it's at that point where that's when you have to consider stepping away. Now, I don't think that's, stepping away is always the solution to when you get into that mindset. But where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So it's like, I don't know, you got to at least evaluate it, scope it out, make sure there is actually a fire and that it's not just someone that found a smoke grenade and then they pulled a pin. But most of the time, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm glad I did that series. This isn't the first time I've done a series. I don't know if you remember, but a series called Take Out, which I don't think I would say I ended it. I think it's just on a very large, pause because of COVID, because I need to be in a car with my friend to do that. And, you know how that be. Not a thing during these days. So that's still, an outgoing series. But earlier on, I had a series called Wilt. Wilt stands for What I Learned Today. And it was a series where I record what I learned, every day of the week. And I compile that and post it at the end of the week. Well, on paper, that's what it was supposed to be. And it was. For the first 10 weeks, I did it. And then, winter quarter of my freshman year happened. And it fell behind. Spring quarter happened. It fell behind even more. I said I was going to get caught up in summer. I didn't. I was like, okay, let's do this one more year. I tried. I recorded a Wilt for every week my second year of college. But if you follow the series, it dies somewhere in the middle of my second year. And I said during that summer, end of the summer, I will get caught up. And I never did. It's still on my whiteboard in my apartment. Wilts to do. It's in the top right corner. And I have enough footage, to do, I think, at least 10 or 11 more episodes. But I didn't even make the decision to stop it. I just kind of stopped doing it. Because the wilts just seemed like a chore to do. And I didn't want to do that. The whole reason I started making YouTube videos was for fun. And so if you're doing a thing for fun and it's suddenly not fun, well, why are you doing it? You have to reevaluate that. And so I think I did some subconscious reevaluation and I decided let's not do wilt videos. And so I made a video reacting to wildfire. And that is kind of why my channel has taken the trajectory it has since, last October, right? Well, not last October, but the October following it. Because that's when I recorded the first, wildfire video. Here it is. This was the video. And I remember recording that video and then going to my bathroom to wash my hands because my hands were so sweaty, I got nervous, I think. That's a lie. My hands didn't get sweaty. I just went to the bathroom because I drink so many fluids when I record that my bladder is just pushing at the great wall of my insides. Ring, ring. Hello? Nature. Oh, nature's calling? Okay. Yikes. But I remember I went to the bathroom, I was washing my hands, and I looked in the mirror and I was smiling. I was happy with the piece of content I had just made. And then it was then that I realized, yeah, let's leave these wilts behind. This is very parallel to maybe someone like cheating on someone. I don't think that's a good thing. I think when it comes to relationships, you can't start a new one until you put the old one to rest, right? It's like, oh, well, Gauruv, can you do window shopping? It's like, all right, I'm not going to get into that. I don't know. I've never been in a relationship. I'm not one to speak on that. But just, based on morals of a human being, I say, no, don't do that. Be loyal to what you are with. But then, what the fuck am I talking about? I don't know anything about anything. All right, let me get out of that. I ended the UC Davis show, and I'm happier now. I haven't posted it, so maybe I'll be even happier. But doing 2 things a week, the UC Davis show and this podcast, while it did make me more productive in video making, it really actually didn't leave too much time to make other videos, which sucks. Because I found this thing that kept repeating in my head over the last month is that anytime I would post a UC Davis video, I stopped being proud of it. I thought it was uninspiring content. It's just, jokes that you just keep putting out. And I don't know, it's a nice format, but I think it has to be a supplementary format or a piece of content. Like, if it's going to exist, I think it has to exist alongside something. It can't be the main, the entree, or, the main dish or like main thing. It's a good side. It's a really good side. But the problem was I spent so much time making the side that I never made, this beautiful steak. And so people would just keep getting coleslaw and macaroni and corn every week. And they're like, all right, kind of looking for a steak though. And I can't make a steak because I'm too busy making that. I have 3 videos recorded that aren't the UC Davis show. I have 3 videos recorded that are original pieces of content, and I'm excited about all 3 of them. One I recorded 5 months ago, and that one, maybe I lied. That one I'm not too excited about. I'm excited to be done with it, just because I was supposed to post it like 4 months ago, and I've just been working on it. It'll be out sometime in the next 2 weeks. The video after that, I recorded during winter break, and oh my god, that video I'm very excited about. It's another like reaction video. I don't want to give too much away, but I'm very excited about that video. That video we probably won't see for another month and a half, or probably during spring break. You'll see that video. But in about 3 weeks, you'll see a video that I recorded with 7 other people 3 days ago. I was in a Zoom call with 7 others on Friday night. Today is Monday in the middle of the day. But, 3 days ago I recorded with these 7 people, and that's going to be a really good video. And, I always try to make a piece of content every year because I know in the beginning of March, that's when the UC Davis acceptances go out. And so this piece of content will be for that. I don't want to say too much more about it, but I'm really, really excited about that one. And I want to give big thank you to those people. I don't know if any of them watched this podcast. Two of them have talked about how they, oh no, a couple people have, no, yeah, some people do. Thank you guys. Oh, yes, if you're watching, you guys did a really good job. I picked that group because I think you're all very funny, and you guys were really good. Sports sounds condescending, but yeah, no, you guys were like really good sports. Like you were dope. You were dope. That's why I picked you guys. I knew I could have fun with you guys, and we did. I think we did. I'll say I had fun. I don't know if you guys did, but the end, there's something alleviating about the end. When you finish something, oh boy. When you finish. When you finish something, that's the most exciting part. That's when you're the most happy, right? Like when presidents leave, their acceptance, or their like, approval ratings are through the roof right when they leave office, right? Or like the months following. When you finish something, that's when it feels the best. Because most of the time it's bittersweet. Sometimes it's just sweet. Sometimes it's just bitter. But I think if you're lucky in life, endings will always be bittersweet. Bitter because it's over, sweet because it happened. And it's weird, as I was saying that final line to the UC Davis show, it felt so good. And when I was finally, that basketball season started my sophomore year of school, and I wasn't part of it, it felt good. And it's weird that endings feel so good, especially because my biggest fear in life is death. Well, and barbershop quartets, but we'll get to that later. No, I'm just kidding. I'm terrified of death, but sometimes I'm able to feel good understanding the finality of it. Finality? What's the word? I don't know. There's something nice about something not being in your control, which is also the root of all fear. I'm really happy the UC Davis show is over, but I'm even more happy that it happened, and I'm really glad that people watched it and enjoyed it. And the effects of it aren't over. I can't really say too much more, but you'll see over the next couple months the effect that show had. That's a very vague statement, I understand that, but it'll make a lot of sense in due time, I promise. You just have to believe me. Ashir, I totally forgot it was President's Day today. So when you when you get something very American, I was like, oh, right. That uh-huh. Right. Monday, President's Day. I was going for more of the Valentine's look. Even though, that was yesterday, the time I'm recording this, Valentine's Day was yesterday. So, I had told myself, I'm going to record the UC Davis show Friday, edit Saturday, boom, post it Sunday, V-Day. Didn't do that. But, I thought it was a big deal. But here we are, and guess what? It's not a big deal. And it never really is, Everything's a bigger deal in my mind. But then you don't want to, give into that mindset too much, because then you'll devalue certain things and not pay them the respect they deserve. And you never want to get into that situation. I gotta be honest, didn't write down too much this week. Just, I don't know what's been on my mind this week, But one thing that I did think about was, watching a lot of YouTube videos, you get a lot of ads, right? And ads aren't normal. Like, the things that happen in ads don't happen in real life for the most part, I would say. So I was thinking about it, and I thought it'd be funny if everyone in real life started consuming products like they were in an ad. So, like what's a good example? Oh, like I have this lotion here, CeraVe, which is still the most funny name to me ever, because it's spelled like this, but it sounds like CeraVe, like someone's name, CeraVe. There was a CeraVe, I knew growing up. Oh, but it'd be funny, because I would use lotion, I'd put it right here, on the table and just use it. Like, you can't even see it. But I thought it'd be funny if we had, it was like a mandated law where you have to use all products in like a way they would use in an ad. So if I wanted to use this, I would have to go, oh yeah, just putting some lotion on. And like, you have to, oh yeah, man, love me some CeraVe lotion. Do you see the logo? Perfect. And then usually, I would just rub my hands, down here. But man, CeraVe, look at that. Wow. Look at that moisturizing effect really getting in there. Man, love me CeraVe. I thought that was interesting because I saw someone drinking something, and it was very obvious. Like, they were craning their neck and like twisting their wrist a way that humans don't. And it was because they had to display the logo of the soda pop they were drinking. And I thought that was very hilarious that if we did that normally, like if that was the norm, I thought that was cool. That was one point I had written down this week. And another point I had written down was, I was playing basketball outside. A body like this doesn't just look like this, you got to work. But I was playing basketball outside, and my neighbor, one of my neighbors, a couple houses down, so he's not my immediate neighbor, but neighbor was biking down the street with his son. Son takes off before him, so he's lagging a little behind, and so we do the thing, the locking eyes, and you're in a conversation. And so he's like, hey, how's it going, man? And I'm like, I'm good. How are you? And he's like, yeah, just trying to stay active out here. I'm like, yeah, me too. And he's like, really? Doesn't look like it. I'm like, hey, chill. No. And so we did the normal, like, how are you? Good. How are you? Great. Ooh. We don't really know each other's name, do we? Nope. Okay, great. So let's just say surface level things to make this human interaction fly by. And I forgot, no, I didn't forget. What am I talking about? We did I asked him, I was like, so how long you think we're going to be in this thing before we're back to normal? He was like, man, normal. I'm going to give it at least another year. So to everyone listening, watching, just know we're in it for another year. Okay? My neighbor knows best. Even though he's not my immediate neighbor. He's a lot of credit, okay? He knows what's best. And so if he says another year, it's another year. Strap in. We're in it for the long haul. But then he said, so how long you in town for? No, he didn't start with that. He said, when he first saw me, he said, look who's back. How long you in town for? And I was like, oh, well, another 5 weeks. Yep, at least another 5 weeks, because, I'll be here until the end of the quarter. But his question had, the, the way he phrased it and the words he chose implied that I just got here. But I've been here for like a month and a half. But he was just like, man, don't see you around outside a lot. You must have just got here, huh? It's like, no, I've been here. I just stay in my room for my entire life. Look who's back. Look who's finally gotten out of that room. Yeah, I'm a piece of shit. I know. But then I was like, I tried to use a cop out. I was like, yeah, well, the weather's getting better, so I think I'm going to find myself out here a little more, God damn it. We should get into some of the things I had for last week, because I had a long list last week, and I didn't get to some of it. One of those things was crispiness, which also is a funny word, because if you slow it down, crispiness. Did the naming committee not think about that when they were coming up with words? What's something that's hard? What's a word for when something's hard? Actually, let's look up the definition of crispiness. This is that Gauruv level content right here. Crispiness. A pleasing firmness and freshness. So, a pleasing firmness and freshness we named crispiness. What the hell, guys? We could use so many other words, and we decided to, name that crispiness. God damn it. But I got thinking, because I came across, on the YouTube. I don't know if you're familiar with the app. But I was browsing on this new website, YouTube, and I saw some crispiness, like fries ASMR. I was like, oh, that'd be pretty dope, actually. I didn't watch it, but I imagine it was probably really dope. And I got thinking, why is that? Why is it that, like, that crispy sound and that, that texture is so appealing to humans? Like, why does crispiness have such a bondage over human beings? And I don't know. And this is one of those ideas where I write down and I'm like, I'm going to make a whole video on this in the future. And then I never do. No, I know, I just, especially now, I'm trying to, I think, go full bore Davis content just because, I only have, 14, 15, 16 months left in the school. And once you're out of the school, making UC Davis content is weird. So I think I'm trying to get it all out of my system now because I have so many ideas, but they'd be weird as an alumni or whatever. And so all these videos, like, why do humans love crispiness so much? That's one of those videos where, like, maybe when I graduate, I'll probably like do a whole video on that, whole video essay. But I don't know. Do you know why that is? That, like, oh man, fresh fries. I know fresh fries aren't quite crispy. Sometimes they are, but mostly they're just warm. But man, like chips, Cheetos, that crunch. It's it does a thing to your body that it has no deal doing. Is that what it is? It has no right to do that to us. I'm definitely forgetting the phrase. It has no right to be making humans act up. You know what I'm saying? So what's next, right? I talked about the UC Davis show ending. What's next? Well, I did touch on that a little bit. These 3 videos coming out. But just making, content that is, unique, will it come out as frequently? That's the one nice thing. The UC Davis show has made it to where I have made a video every week. Now, moving on from that, will there be a video every week? I guarantee no. I'm hoping the rate doesn't, fall too hard. Like, I hope we don't ever go a month without a post. But I can see a 2-week gap in between posts. I don't know why I said those words like that. Yeah, I can see a 2-week gap. That's not how I talk. Why do they say it like that? Like, I'll post this next video probably next weekend or something. But then the video after that, it will be about 2 or 3 weeks before I post that. And then the video after that, probably 2 weeks. So, I don't know. But I've come up with a lot of ideas, and just, doing the UC Davis show hasn't allowed me to really attack those ideas. And I know one of the things I observed when I went to, making this other content that's not a series is your growth definitely increases. A series, when it's birthed, I don't know how to say the word, when it's birthed, it's does wonders for your channel. I'd mentioned it at the beginning of the UC Davis shows, conception? I don't know if I'm using that word right. My channel saw a lot of growth, which is true. And the people that watch it, you build a really strong community with series, but you don't spread yourself that wide. Whoa, pause, but you don't spread yourself that wide. Like, you get depth, not breadth, with series. The people that are there care more about you, but there are less people there. And so, you gotta ask yourself which one of those matters. Oh, good question. I think different ones matter at different times. But I think for me, at least right now, I think breadth is maybe more important. I have to say, I'm so grateful for the people that watch my videos. The people I've met in real life that watch my videos, I want to say, well, let's go 99%. 99% of people are, I'm so glad. I'm glad that my content attracted that person. And, it's because I see sometimes, channels with numbers, but like, you wonder how much is behind those numbers. And while I don't know if my channel has like the highest numbers, the numbers are so meaningful, like the actual people behind those numbers. God, the best. Like, I think, I don't know, the community is dope. And I always wanted that, and that's why I made the content the way I did. And just personally, this goes back to, doing what you wanted that would make, you content with yourself. I didn't like college content that was like just 7 tips. I had to make jokes the whole time. I couldn't put out a video that's just tips. There had to be a joke somewhere in there, But I see these people, they're like, tips. And it's just not funny. It's just like, not preachy, but it's like a class. And it's like, ugh. God. I go to YouTube to escape. I don't go to YouTube to learn. Well, I do learn from YouTube, but I don't go in wanting to learn. I go in to be entertained, and if I learn as a byproduct, well, then that's great. That's awesome. But my goal is always to be entertained. And so I try to make content that, meets that same demand. And because to me, that's the most fulfilling content. Entertainment, folks. And you wonder, is that healthy? Is that a toxic thing? I haven't had too much time to read it quite yet because school, I'm doing that thing, But there's this really great book called Amusing Ourselves to Death. I've only read one chapter, but from what I've heard, you know, it's really great. It's in that same category as like 1984 and Brave New World. It talks about, dystopian bullshit. But it has already touched on the idea that all, news and everything is not effective unless it's entertaining. I don't think I said that right. I think what I meant to say is entertainment has to be the vehicle in which humans consume information. Yeah. Humans won't like consume information anywhere near as effective as they could if it was fed to them through entertainment. And I think this book's going to talk about like, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Or maybe just warn it, and tell us go forward, but proceed with caution. So I think that's a really cool idea. I'm looking forward to reading that book. I'll probably read it like during spring break when I have more time. Or, now I won't have to, do this assignment every weekend, which is writing the UC Davis show, recording it, posting it. So maybe it'll open up some of my weekend time too. That'd be really nice. And it's not just like, doing the UC Davis show, what? Takes an hour to write the jokes. Takes an hour to set up, record it. And then takes 4 hours to do all the editing, like put the files on your computer, edit them, post them, thumbnail, YouTube, tags, title, description, thumbnail. I think that whole thing, 4 to 5 hours. So, already 6 to 7 hours every week that I'm going to suddenly get out of nowhere. That's really dope. So yeah, maybe I'll read a little more. That should be exciting. But that was another thing. I didn't look forward, like the whole week. I was like, oh man, I have to do that at the end of the week. Shoot. When I could, like play video games with my friend for like 2 hours. And it's like, well, God, that's, insert parent or, adult here. Garv, that's a waste of time. But, I've learned it's not. It's really, you got to take time to do those things. Play video games with your friends. Go on walks, play basketball outside. When you just got back in town. So I think, maybe that's also the reason I've been feeling like, I was talking about a little sad. It could be vitamin D. I think you're right. I don't go outside. That's why my neighbor made that comment. But I think it's also because I just haven't, I don't know. I just been thinking about the wrong things. But hopefully, over these next couple months, we start thinking about the right things. Everyone that watches my videos, buckle up. Because my channel always does the best in March and April. We're going to see a bunch of new people come in. All these high schoolers. February is always the worst month for my channel. And then, that got me thinking, is that attributing to the faltering of the UC Davis show? Is it just because January and February are inherently, bad months for Davis content? But, I'm hoping with a little more inspiring, less vapid content in these next few months, getting away from the UC Davis show and into, that stuff. I think it will be, it'll be better for the channel from the viewer's experience, from my experience. That's another thing. When I would tell people about, they're like, oh, you just posted a new video. I'd be like ashamed. I'd be like, yeah, but it's not, it's just like, it's the same shit over again. It's not good. I wasn't proud. I think I said earlier this episode, but I wasn't proud of the content I was making. I mean, looking back on it, I'm really proud of it. 5 solid episodes. And then there was another one, but, episode 5, yikes. But I think I'm really happy putting a bow on that. And I think I can say, you know, as much as it's maybe out of character, or as I have found in this episode, maybe it's extremely in character, I think I am extremely happy to say it's over. And yeah, housekeeping. Make sure you comment on the video uh, if you have any comments. And like the video if you liked it. All right. Goodbye.